what I want to show you guys is like a little diamond in the rough that I found here. I'm a dealer tech at a dealer here in Dundee, Illinois, and we have a 2006 Lincoln Town Car that came in, and it's been sitting in the back of the lot for quite a while. And I asked some questions about it one day. I've always wanted one of these cars, and I specifically stated, "Is it for sale?" They said, "Yeah, it's old. It's got a lot of miles and stuff on it, 195,000 miles. We're not really interested in putting it out on the lot for people to buy." But the more I expressed interest in it, the more they started to kind of change and perk themselves up about maybe there's something about this car that this guy knows that we don't. You don't find these cars in this condition. This is an 85-year-old man's car. It's got 195,000 miles on the odometer. When I started looking at the service history on this car's been rebuilt 2 years ago. Somebody went through the transmission, the engine, and these engines, they last forever. But with him getting older and wanting to be in an SUV, he wanted to be in something that was higher up where it wouldn't hurt his legs as much. I had to strongly express my interest in this car and not letting it get sent to the auction, because $2,500 in airbags were put on this thing. It's got a brand new rebuilt engine. You know, I think maybe it's like 25,000 miles or something like that. I didn't do that. Just off the top of my head, looking at the service history, the transmission's in pristine shape. I mean, pull the fluid, it's just as red as can be. This car shows no wear at all. The electronic trunk motor works. Everything on the car works. Every piece of it works to what you would expect a brand new car to put out for you. So today I decided that I wanted to pull the spark plugs and look at them. Every one of the spark plugs were like brand new. Look down in the cylinder at the top of the pistons. Nice, clean, no carbon buildup, no nothing. That explains why 2 weeks later, I'm still getting clean oil. There's no dirt in the oil, there's no nothing. Everything under the car, I went ahead and undercoated everything while I was there because I was seeing little bits and pieces of rust forming. But whoever owned this car really knew how to take care of a vehicle and not abuse it. So I started talking to the salesman that took the car in. They paid nothing for the car, and I paid nothing to get the car. So it was like $1,500 bucks I gave the dealer out the door, $2,200, tax, title, plates. I've been driving this thing. This thing is amazing. Let me show you the car a little bit, and then I'm going to give you a tip at the end of it to show you some of the things that have happened. I'm going to speak about one of them this time. You'll have to come back for another video for the others. There's a leak that happens on this car that most people don't know about, but if you have this car, you've probably experienced it at some time. Let me introduce you to the car first. This is a 2006 Lincoln Continental. It's like a powder blue. It's called the Panther Platform car. And the reason it's called the Panther Platform car is because this was the last true luxury car Ford actually built and put out on the road. This was the last true framed car that you could go down the road, get into an accident, and it would never affect the rest of the car other than where you impacted. This was the last luxury American car, arguably of its time, that was worth anything. And if you see a lot of them on the road, they're rusted, they're rotten, but there's also a big majority of them where people have actually taken care of them, and there's no rust around the wheel wells and stuff like that. This car, everything works. The defrost in the mirrors work, the defrost in the grid in the back, the third eye brake light works. Everything works in this car. I'll pop the trunk and show you the large space that's in there. They call it the mafia car for a reason.
Well, let's see.
Trunk is very large. You got your on-off switch for your airbags here, so you can flip it off if you ever have to lift the car up. And if you have a leaking airbag suspension, you always want to flip that off if you're working on it, because it'll try to end up pumping the car up while it's up in the air. So anytime you lift this car, this switch needs to be in the off position. Something else interesting about this car is it actually had a motor that raised and lowered this car. You got your little storage compartment here on the side where your spare tire is. How many people can say their whole spare tire sits behind their brake line? Not very many. This car, there was enough room for that. The automatic trunk still works. Let me pop it back open one more time. Look around the edges where the rain routing and stuff is. This was kept super clean. This guy wiped out all the time. He said all these channels, no rust around here. The seal's still real nice and real nice. He said he would come out here and he would clean the cars. He would wipe it all down. He couldn't stand a dirty car. Every light in the thing works. There's nothing that doesn't work about this car. And it just, watch this. Done. Does it itself. Now, if you walk around this way, I'll show you. He has a Class 1 hitch on this car, and he used to carry a bicycle back here when him and his wife would go on vacation, and the bicycle would bump up against the back of the trunk, and that's why he's got these little cracks and stuff in here. I'm going to get all that fixed. It had something back here that was called a radar sensor, and that was way before its time because we didn't start getting backup sensors and stuff until what, the late 2010, 9, 11. This was 6, and it has a radar sensor back here that's even more sensitive than the new sensors that we have, and it really is a good gauge on depth. I find it to be better gauging depth-wise than the new stuff. This was a great car. If you come around to this side of the vehicle, you'll see this car had the automatic trunk or the gas cap pop.
Ooh.
Nothing, no dirt, no nothing. A little bit of residue down around the cap, but no rust, no nothing anywhere on this thing. I mean, just your typical residue, but the paint and the metal is pristine in this thing. There's like nothing here. The chrome, it's got its little spots where it's fading and little. You'll have that. You're gonna have that on these cars. What I'm looking at here is I'm looking at a car in great shape. We got a guy that comes out and he does our refinishing of wheels and stuff like that, brings them back to the factory, brings them back to stock. I'm actually gonna ask him if he'll go ahead and refinish these rims on here, because you can see a lot of the corrosion buildup on these rims. It's typical. This is something that you can't get away from. No matter how clean a state it is, this clear coat always starts to flake off. If you just kind of get a shot from in here and look, you can see where I've already relined everything. I've already undercoated and did everything. I went down to the frame, I went up to the airbags and stuff. It's not perfect, but this is something that I'm proud of. I'm proud to have something like this. Okay, so what we'll do now is just pop open the back door real quick. No rips, no tears. The ashtray's still there. Everything that came in this car, it's just a really this car's in great shape for $2,200 bucks. It doesn't get better than this. Every seal has been cleaned, everything's been detailed, no rust all the way down to the bottom of the doors, nothing. It's all in really great shape. It closes. Listen to that. Listen to that. Clean, done. These new cars, plastic and everything else. This is an American iconic quality car. The door pad still works. Lock it. Unlock it. Let's get a shot of the inside there, the front real quick. It still has the double fold center console. Everything works. All the lights work. The warning lights, everything. The foot pedals that move. They move the foot pedals in and out. The traction control. Everything works in this car. Now we'll walk up here to the engine so I don't beat you guys up with so much information you can barely stand it. But I think it's good to talk about these things. They don't make cars like this anymore. This is an American car that was one of the best luxury cars. Let's go to the front. Oh, I failed to mention that this car has tires that are like 80%. The brakes were brand new. The rotors were brand new. The wheel bearings up front were brand new. I got this car for a steal. There's no leaks anywhere in the engine. There's nothing. The transmission's not leaking. It's just in pristine shape. The automatic pop out here in the front, in between the pull the hood release, it pops out, you pull it up, you lift up the hood, and there you are. This engine is just in amazing shape. The hoses, the wires, the connectors, everything is just, they really took good care of this car. It's got a new Kevlar belt on it. It's a brand new alternator. That is one thing that did go out the day I bought it, because it sat so long, the voltage regulator was all dried up, it was problems with it, I had to replace the alternator right away, and I ended up getting the alternator for like $200 and throwing it in here. It's the premium alternator from Napa that I got. I chose Napa because we were closed at the time, so I went with Napa and I got the best one that they had. It was a really good deal. They hooked me up. Every connector I've unplugged, I've looked inside, I've cleaned out, just to see. It's just an amazing shape. Now that I've talked about this lovely car, if you look here, no rust, no nothing. Look inside the body panels, around there's nothing anywhere. There's no rust on this car anywhere at all. So I'm going to talk to you about a problem that occurs with this car that most people don't realize. Up here in this cowl area, there's a fresh air insert piece that whenever you turn your heat on, you need fresh air or something that comes through this compartment here. And if you look here in this corner, there's a flap. Can you see the flap? That flap gets plugged up inside here with debris. And there's leaves and stuff that get inside here. What ends up happening is, you can even see there's leaves back in there right now. Yep. So I'm going to pop this off real quick and I'm going to show you. That has to stay cleaned out. If this doesn't stay cleaned out, this drain here, the one that I'm flipping in this corner, if that doesn't stay, let's flip. If that doesn't stay cleaned out, the water will back up inside the cabin compartment. So where you're sitting, basically. Get that impact over there.
Oh yeah, sure.
So there's two screws here. There's one screw right here, and there's one screw over here on the side that holds this in, and they're just Phillips screws. Oh yeah, it's got a battery that was put in here March of 19, so the battery's not even a year old. So what I've done to this car since I've owned it the last, I don't know, 7 to 10 days, maybe about 10 days now, is I put a new pinion seal in it. That did need to be done. That was leaking just a little bit. And then the rear cover had just a little bit of moisture on it. I went ahead and resealed the rear cover, put new 75 140 in it. I put a new pinion seal in it. I did an oil change, and I think that was all I've done. Oh yeah, today I put plugs in it just in case, just to check out the condition of the plugs. I was just really surprised at how clean everything is. And the alternator. Plastic screws are long. They're plastic Phillips screws. Look how long they are. That's why it's taking so long to get them out. So, pull the cover off. And look at all the debris down inside that hole. So what ends up happening is all that debris accumulates up here in this little tray area, and it just keeps building up, and then the water can't get out of that little spot anymore. So it starts backing up inside this compartment, and it gets so high, and it spills over right here, and it falls down inside your heater box, and it fills up your floor. So I'm going to go ahead and blow all that out of there. Watch your eyes. contact into that screen, and I don't want to blow the screen out of it. You probably should vacuum it, would be the better bet, but I don't have a vacuum down here. For the most part, it's pretty good. It's cleaned out, the drains unblocked, and I'll go ahead and stick all this back in there. They push right in, but they got to be screwed out. Done. Transmission fluid. Like new. Nice and red. No dirt, no black, doesn't smell burned. Really, really, really nice. Should we check the engine oil real quick?
Oh yeah.
Show you what the engine oil looks like real quick. I've been driving this for about 10 days now. That engine oil is like brand new. No dirt in this engine at all. One of the indications that I knew that this car had been rebuilt, or this engine, was not just the service history. It's just the fact that there's no leaks around the front cover area anywhere. Also, if you look at the manifold over here, you can see that these manifolds have brand new studs and nuts in them. They're brand new. They've already been changed out. It's right down the center.
Oh yeah.
They've already been changed out. They're not rotten. Let's go ahead and wrap this up now. So, that's my introduction to my Panther platform 2006 Lincoln Town Car. This car is absolutely a joy to have, and I just wish anybody that ever wanted to have any kind of luxury car would take the opportunity or chance, if you can, to purchase one of these and just enjoy this beautiful piece of artwork that was created, the last true luxury car, full frame car of its time. Thank you guys. Be blessed and have a great weekend.